You have a judge telling the defendant that he needs to watch how he's gesturing or looking toward the jurors.
The judge's threat happened during this woman's testimony.
But let me tell you, not only because he had left, he was in the back of the court and he went. I think they took up to like a back room. But all the Diddy kids are there, right? So his daughters are there. I was sitting behind them. It was awkward for me to watch them have to listen to all of this. After he started, the male Esther started getting into a lot of the and stuff. They got up and left.
Who told him to leave? Did Diddy say leave or?
No, Diddy didn't tell him to leave. I don't know if there was a conversation.
So Diddy and his team have been putting the Combs kids to work, and it's sort of getting out of hand at this point because word on the street is that the kids are not doing okay at all. Apparently, Diddy's kids never wanted to be a part of this case or the trial. They always wanted to keep their distance from it, especially the younger kids who would get bullied because of all the media attention the case was getting. However, Diddy and team allegedly used threats to force them to sit through everything, even when it was clear their mental health was suffering. Why? Because it looked good for media optics and was a good way to score sympathy points with the jurors. But according to insiders, Diddy's kids are done putting up with the charade and they're all planning to publicly take a stand against their father when this is all over. So, how exactly has this trial affected the Combs children? And what is Diddy going to do about his kids revolting against him? Let's talk about it. Diddy's kids might look like they're all in good spirits and supporting their father, but word on the street is that this is all just a strategy by Diddy's lawyers and PR team. According to insiders, Diddy's kids want to jump ship before it gets too late. Because here's the part nobody really wants to talk about. If Diddy somehow loses this case, his kids will probably be left high and dry and have to find their way through life on their own. I mean, obviously, Diddy must have prepared for his kids to be taken care of if anything happened to him, but there's no denying that Diddy's kids will have a super hard time being the kids of someone as notorious as him. Unfortunately, Diddy probably didn't see this coming all those years ago when he was busy getting his older sons Justin and Christian involved in his freak-off lifestyle. Some of the civil lawsuits against Diddy have either named his sons as defendants or mentioned that Diddy roped them into his operations. In his lawsuit against Diddy, Lil Rod claimed that Justin was allegedly tied to a shooting at Chalice Recording Studios, where his friend, identified as G, got injured. According to the lawsuit, Diddy forced people to lie to cover up this incident. He made sure everyone told the cops that it was a random drive-by. He even allegedly gave strict instructions to inform the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced Mr. Jones to lie to the police by telling them that G was shot standing outside the studio by a drive-by assailant. But that's not all. According to court documents, Justin was actively involved in Diddy's alleged RICO enterprise. His role was recruiting escorts and young girls for Diddy's infamous freak-offs. And of course, he wasn't just recruiting. He was allegedly participating in these wild parties too. Justin's involvement in these shady moves made his mother, Misa Hilton, so upset that she took to social media and went ballistic on Diddy. Misa slammed Diddy for failing to keep his kids on the straight and narrow and protecting them from his shady operations. She had always had a problem with how Diddy parented his kids, especially her son Justin. But the final straw for her was the Homeland Security raids, when Justin and Christian were handcuffed and had lasers pointed at them. Misa said, "The statement "a fish rots from the head down" means that, in addition to being a major contributing factor in a family or organization's success, leadership is also the root cause of its failure and demise. The truth shall set you free." She added, "I'm not with none of that reality TV stuff. When is enough? Yeah, okay, I'm not protecting no one anymore, just my son." Then she said, "Everyone has to sit around for years and act like there isn't anything wrong with you. This is where the buck stops for me. If anything ever happened to my son, God forbid, what is anyone going to say to men when we all know whose fault it would be?" But it gets worse. Diddy's second son, Christian Combs, is just as entangled in the family business as his brother Justin, if not more. Christian didn't just join Diddy's alleged freak-offs. He had a whole case against him that happened on one of these day-long gatherings. Shortly after Diddy's legal trouble started, a woman named Grace O'Markay, who worked on a yacht during what was supposed to be a wholesome family trip, sued Christian for SA-ing her. But according to Grace, this wasn't a family vacation at all. Diddy apparently turned the yacht into some kind of debauched, fueled adult-only nightmare. He turned what was sold as a wholesome family excursion into a hedonistic environment. Escorts and alcohol were everywhere, and Grace claims the drinks were spiked because women were passing out after just one sip. And this is where it gets dark. Grace alleges that Christian tried to SA her on multiple occasions. He reportedly forced her to drink tequila with him and then became violent, grabbing her arm when she tried to leave. He allegedly groped her and got all kinds of handsy, and in another incident, he supposedly tried to force her to go down on him in the yacht's cinema. However, when Grace tried to report the assault, she says the yacht's captain didn't take her seriously because Diddy had allegedly paid off the crew to keep things hush-hush. Things got so bad that the captain allegedly started bullying Grace, eventually leading to her being fired. According to Grace, the trauma from this incident completely ruined her life. Her long-time relationship fell apart, she developed an eating disorder, and now she even suffers from epileptic seizures. Even the twins weren't spared. Jesse and Delilah made the news rounds during their 16th birthday when they wore matching outfits that many people felt were inappropriate for kids their age. Diddy faced a lot of backlash at the time, with people accusing him of letting his kids run wild because their mother was gone. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Since the Diddy trial started, rumors have been swirling that the girls were more involved in Diddy's operations than we earlier assumed. Those rumors got messier when they and their sister, Chance, started showing up at the courthouse to support Diddy. On the surface, it seemed like a cute moment of the entire family banding together to show how Diddy was such a good father and upstanding member of society. His sons Justin and Christian were there. Even Kim Porter and Albie Shaw's son and Diddy's adopted son Quincy were there. The girls, Jessie, Delilah and Chance, were there. And Diddy's mother, Janice, and his sister were there as well. Now keep in mind that at some point during this trial, witnesses were called to the stand to testify about their relationship with Diddy, and they were asked some pretty interesting questions with extremely graphic responses. There was the male escort who took the stand and described in very graphic detail how Diddy and Cassie hired him for freak-offs and all the things they did together during those sessions. Y'all already know most of what was said during this testimony and how disturbing it was, even for adults listening. So imagine just how horrified Diddy's teenage daughters must have felt as they listened to other people describe their father as basically a monster under oath. It was so difficult for them that they actually ran out of the courtroom multiple times to give themselves a break. Then there was Cassie, who took the stand and talked about how Diddy had her up for days at a time during freak-offs, where she was made to do all sorts of disgusting things she didn't want to do. She testified about the times Diddy put his hands on her, threatened her, and kept her in hotel rooms for days so her face could heal after he had destroyed it. Interestingly, it was during this time that rumors started swirling around that Diddy's kids were done putting up appearances for him and they wanted to distance themselves from the trial to protect themselves if anything went wrong. There were even speculations that some of the kids might already be working on a documentary deal with some studio to tell their side of the story and give themselves a fresh start. But here's the twist. Diddy's older kids, like Justin, Quincy, and Chance, seem to have it a little bit easier since they still have their mothers to look out for them. The same goes for his little girl, whom he just had a few years ago. Unfortunately, this leaves Kim's kids, Christian, Jesse, and Delilah, who have sadly lost their mom and would do anything to avoid ending up in the care of their father's relatives. They're adults now, but they're still pretty young and need a lot of guidance and protection. After their high school graduation, Jesse and Delilah announced that they're not going to college and would rather focus on their clothing brand and get involved in business. However, people started speculating that there might be a deeper reason why the girls don't want to go to college, at least for now.
During cross-examination, the defense threw her timeline into question.
So because of that contradiction that we saw in real time, that was probably the most that I've seen Combs gesturing like, yeah, exactly, I couldn't have done this thing that this woman is accusing me of on this particular day.
The judge called it absolutely unacceptable and said if it happened again, Diddy could be kicked out of the courtroom.
In all the court cases that I've covered, I've never seen anything like that.
Also unusual, Diddy complained to one of the courtroom sketch artists, telling her to, quote, soften me up a bit. You're making me look like a koala bear. Listening in court today, Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian, A source tells ET it's been tough for his kids to hear the things their dad is being accused.
According to inside sources, the girls have had such a hard time these last 2 years that facing college and interacting with people who might act weird towards them because of Diddy's legal issues is not in the cards for them. As the trial unfolds, it seems to become more and more obvious that Diddy has been using his kids both inside and outside the courtroom to make himself look good to the media and the jury. However, people are still wondering how this will benefit the kids in the long run, or if anyone is even thinking about them in all this. But what are your thoughts about Diddy's kids' involvement in the trial? Do you think the kids will try to save themselves if it seems Diddy is going to lose the case? Leave a comment down below and then check out this next video.